Hey guys, me again, Orc Slayer What Ifs. Where we last left off, let's see, checking. Where I last left off with the What If Deku was nerrgegante, he was captured, well, he had already been captured, was somewhat bought and sold, you could say. Like, there was an agreement with All for One and the Crazy Doctor Man to buy Deku for experiments. But like an hour or so before the doctor arrived, and he arrived much earlier than he was supposed to, Deku was able to get his collar off by breaking off one of his horns and using his blood to lubricate so it can be like sort of pulled up off his neck. As then Deku punched through his wall and just started hauling ass. An hour or so later, after Jack had just woken up for no reason, he just woke up. He's like, oh shit. As he called everyone and told them to hunt Deku down. Doctor eventually showed up. They went after Deku. He sicked some Nomus on him. He killed one Nomu and then caved in an entrance so that way he could run through the cave. As the Nomus tried to dig their way through, the doctor went back to discuss details about about buying Deku. They'd get half now, and then they'd get the rest when Deku was given to them. But Deku has found refuge, you could say, inside of a town that's inside the wilderness. Has fighting pits and such, and it's as the woman he would meet called Elizabeth, or Liz, would tell him is that this is a town where the outlaws, unwanted, and hated go to live. So, why are you here? Well, she said she'd show him around sometime as Deku went over and curled up into a ball, you could say. Thinking that I'll just rest my eyes for a bit, as he quickly fell asleep. As Deku woke up hours later, he's like, As he stands up rubbing his eyes, he's like, is there somewhere I can get a drink? He's like, as one guy's like, what kind, kid? You looking for something to, drink? Or do you want to get drunk? He's like, to drink? He's like, alright. There's a fountain over there. The water is said to be purified. As it's like a fountain you'd find in a mall or something like that. Or it's purified water as they would put it, and that a lot of water is gone from that place. Well, not a lot of it, but people get cups of water from there every now and then. Deku walks over and just dips his hands in it and drinks from it. Liz is like, oh, there's that kid again. Why is he drinking from the thing? She's like, hey kid, what are you doing? He's like, I'm thirsty. What else? I'm thirsty. So he's like, yeah, this is where the animals drink their water. He's like, oh, well, that guy back over... Oh, that guy? Yeah, he's a dick. Come on. Let's get you something real to drink. As they walk into, a little restaurant, you could call it. Or the canteen. As Deku sits down, she's like, hey, get us a bit of, I don't know, fruit, some sort of fruit drink, water, and I'll have some out, and I'll take a mead. As it's the hunter's canteen, as Deku gets this fruit punch and water, she drinks her little thing of mead. He's like, should you really be drinking so early in the morning? She's like, oh yeah, I always have one when I was just woken up. He's like, you just woke up? Yep, kid. He's like, that can't be good. She's like, wakes you up and gets your body to get more energy. He's like, so what are you doing here? He's like, as he explains the details on, well, he doesn't explain the details. He just keeps quiet. It's like, some things happened and I got stranded out here. She's like, that's it? He's like, yeah, that's pretty much it. And she's like, as she can tell, he's hiding some stuff from her. But she's like, alright, I won't push on it. Do you got anything to do? And he's like, no, I just was gonna look around and see if anyone was gonna, like, I don't know, you guys still use money out here, right? She's like, depends on where you go. We have money that's used around here, but there's quite a few people who, like, trade items and such. Really? Yeah. For instance, she's like, this here cost me, what was it again, barkeep? He's like, you gotta either pay me $30. Gotta pay me $30, I'm just using dollars. Or you could go out and get me a Jagras corpse. Or Jagras. Either one will work. Really? He's like, well, I would allow her to get more stuff. Half a Jagras is... A Jagras is like lower half, or upper half, depending on where you look, is probably worth over 60. Maybe 70. With all the stuff you sell too, like the teeth, the eyes, the organs, all that can be used. And Jagras stew is actually pretty good. It's actually one of the things people favored around here. It's like, hey, you got Jagras stew? He's like, not yet. Gonna go on a hunt soon. Or have some others do it. Maybe some of those outlaw hunters would be willing to do it. They kind of like it too. He's like, so everybody here's an outlaw or something? He's like, oh yeah, the hunters that are here are ones that were caught poaching, quote unquote. Like, I think one of them actually killed a... what was it called? Yeah, I think it was a... Rajang or something like that. He's like, a Rajang? He's like, oh yeah, you probably never heard of one of those. Or, well, a baby one at least. See, what had happened is that this mother Rajang, the mother Rajang died. And what had happened is that the baby was all that's left. The hunter killed its mother. He's pretty tough, but he saw that the chance that this baby could become a threat, and the baby was looking at him pretty angrily, as he would put it, or she would say that that's what he said. Is that the monkey was looking at him very angrily, so he decided to stop a problem before it was able to cause any. That got him kicked out of the guild. But not only was he kicked out, he was essentially hunted now. Like, alright. Bob here, well, he was caught selling illegal monster meats. What's illegal about monster meats? You see, out like that Jagras stew, yeah, it says it's not okay to sell and eat. He's like, would you like to wake up before you continue to talk, Miss Elizabeth? It's like, it's just Liz. It's like, just Liz. It's like, in the certain where he was at, and during that time, it wasn't allowed. I'm like, alright. What about you? She's like, oh, me? Well, I believe I said she was a monster. But I'm gonna change that and just say she's quirkless. She's like, oh, I'm just quirkless. I'm like, really? He's like, yep. Just kicked around my whole life, so I got fed up with it. Tried to become a hunter. I did for a while. Then I just saw the same hypocrisy. Not hypocrisy. The same people looking down upon me. The ones I tried to run away from. He's like, sorry to hear that. It's like, don't worry, kid. It made me who I am today. Strong, independent, and I don't need anyone else to rely on. But others gladly rely on me. Well, yeah. Reminds me of that one time. Cause he's like, who? He's like, it's nothing, kid. So, wanna go help me hunt that Jagras? Since, this is sort of our tabs. He's like, wait, what? He's like, if you do it, I'll let you eat a free meal. He's like, Deku's like, as his stomach growls, he's like, alright, let's get that free meal ahead of time. As he, makes like a nice little bit of meat and such, and like gives it to Deku. He's like, here, it's a balanced breakfast, as it's meat, bread, and vegetables. As Deku eats the meat, the bread, but he's kind of refusing to eat the vegetables. It's like, eat your damn vegetables. As he's like, no, I don't wanna. As he's like, what's the deal with this kid? As Liz is like, Deku, you want to grow big and strong, right? He's like, I know, but I hate them. He's like, listen, here, how about this? Hey, bartender, get me some more meat. He's like, oh, fine. She like hands her like another bit of meat. She's like, all right, see, cut a bit of the meat off, stab it, then stab the broccoli. I'll just say it's broccoli. Horrible, I know. She's like, eat this at the same time. As Deku doesn't like the taste, but he says it's bearable. It's like, good. Now I'll be eating half of this. He's like, wait, what? He's like, you're not gonna eat all this. As they finish the meal, then they go off on their little hunt. Liz, as she would put, says that they're just hunting 1 or 2 drag rats. That's all they need. So as they go out and like scout out, and it's like, alright, see, there's a couple of them by themselves. Let's just hope a great Jagras isn't around. He's like, I thought he'd be awake by now. She's like, trust me, kid, I'm a yawner. Now, you want to take care of this, or should I? He's like, I guess I will. He's like, are you? Wait, how are you going to take care of this, kid? You can't use one of these, as she uses dual blades, essentially. And he's like, well, as he like sort of grows a little bit, like his skin kind of darkens, but his transforms just enough for his like able to grow spikes and such. It's like, oh, smart kid. All right, do what you're gonna do. I'll watch you from here. As like I told you, Deku is much as at 12, he's pretty much not. He's not gonna be able to be a tank as he would be a nerrgegante. So he has to take the more stealth. He's more stealthful in this approach, as he climbs up the tree somewhat and starts walking along the branch, as she's like, man, he's good. As Deku walks slowly but surely, as he stands ahead, or like stands above the Jagras and such, he jumps down, stabbing the 2 of them in the back of the heads, as he's like, see, simple. As he grabs them and like sort of drags them along, he's like, see, simple. She's like, she bends down and rubs his hair. He's like, good job, Deku. He's like, as Deku sort of like looks down and blushes, it's like, oh, you're a sweet kid. As she pulls him in, he's like, well, let's take care of this. And she's like, yes, Liz. As he follows after her, Liz becoming somewhat of surrogate mother for him in the time ahead is like what she'll become. As Deku goes on with the story, saying, oh, I gotta go for a second. Give me Deku. Like I said, Deku essentially, continues on their way back to go to the little town that they have inside the forest. So they arrive. They immediately see that there's a couple of monsters having a nice little brawl inside the pit. As Liz drops, like, she says, no, what, you go watch that. I'll go drop this stuff off at the canteen. Deku, actually somewhat excited, rushes over and watches as he sees there's a couple of monsters, like, they are referred to as the feral monsters. And then there's also the hunters down there that are fighting them. It's nothing too dangerous, just like a pair of great Jagras. And like around 8 little smaller Jagrasses for the 2 of them. As Deku's like, oh yeah, we just went and hunted a couple of Jagrasses, didn't we? Deku deciding to sit down and watch them, as the hunters in question, there's 2 of them. One uses a hammer and the other one uses the Donyan. Oh wait, yeah, forgot to say the other word. I had to go for a second. As the see a hammer and a sword and shield, and I'll just go something basic. As he sees the one with the sword and shield take on like the 16 normal Jagrasses, as the guy with the hammer takes on the 2 greater ones. He charges up his hammer and immediately tries doing the spinning attack, which is pretty much you grab the hammer and spin in a circle. That's all it does. That's all it is literally stand up, grab hammer, spin. That's all it is. As he's spinning, the Jagras comes rushing at him. Then as it comes close, it gets a wham, like a thwack, right to the jaw, as it knocks out a couple of the teeth. As the teeth go, like as those teeth actually fly out of the arena a bit. As some of the guys are like, whoa, look out. Shrapnel inbound. As they see the other guy, he pretty much just shield bashes and slices through the Jagras. Deku's like, you guys have Jagrasses here, then why did we go hunt some? As Liz like approaches from behind, like, hey, oh yeah. Apparently he didn't want to have to pay for 2 of them, or 2 free ones at least. Those Jagrasses down there could be used over the course of a month. Depending on, well, he does have a freezer now that I think about it. Yeah, well, what next, kid? He's like, the guy is actually preparing some of that, well, he's actually not preparing the meat, it takes time. She says, he said the meat will be done in like a day or so, so let's just hang around here. As that's what they do. As a couple of days passes, Deku and Liz just hang around as they watch the fights that go on in the little pit. And Deku's like always, like, as Liz can tell, Deku's like on edge. He's like looking up around him, like always, if there's a crowd, he's always scanning them. Always looking just in case someone takes the opportunity to try and, as he would put it, as Liz would put it, kid, what's wrong with you? He's like, huh? It's like, well, you're always looking around like someone's gonna put a knife in your back. Deku just goes like, he's like, oh, is that one of the reasons why you're out here? Somebody want you dead? As Deku just goes like, yeah. Like, what are you gonna do? Did you like steal from them or something? No. As Deku just says no. He doesn't agree with stealing or anything like that. She's like, then what then? Sorry if you hear that. That's a dog eating. Quiet, please. Are you moving the bowl around? If he could talk to you, bro, would say, yes, I am. As Deku pretty much just answers yes and no to a few questions. Still young. As Liz goes on saying, so, what exactly are you gonna do? He's like, hopefully I'll wait around here long enough and eventually I'll learn which way to the city to go. She's like, oh yeah, you'd never make that track on your own, at least not how you are now. And she's like, I ain't taking you that way. It's like, trust me, kid. If you went anywhere near one of the civilized, as you put quotations in that, one of the civilized towns with me, they'd either arrest you or try to kill you. One of the two. He's like, cause you're a hunter? He's like, no, never mind. As she pretty much just stays quiet. Sorry if I forgot if I actually had her tell what happened. It's been like a day or so, and I didn't watch the entire thing. I got like a feel of what I said, and then I had to make this because I don't want to keep like depriving you guys of videos for too long. I still gotta make another Lamenter part, so I'll finish up this what if, or this part of what if Deku had Nerrgegante's abilities. Then I'll move forward. Well, not move forward. Then I'll move down. Not down, damn it. I'll move on to make another Lamenter part. And I'm going to tell you guys how Izumi met Santo. Or, as I like to call him, Captain Diabetes. Because that's essentially what he's probably going to end up with. Unfortunately. Get away. As Deku and Liz continue to hang out over the course of several months, Deku and Liz developing a really good relationship. As one day, one of the guys are like, You know, that kid and you go off on hunts every now and then. How good would you say he is? She's like, oh, he's pretty decent. Like, he's more stealthy is the word I would use. It's like, really? He's like, yes and no. Let's say this. He's hunting something, he stalks something, then as soon as he sees the opportunity, he ravages it. Like, he literally pretty much jumps on its back and just starts stabbing into it. She's like, I saw him one time jump down on an Apnoth. It was dead. And then something else jumped out at him. Like, I think it was a smaller nerrgegante. It was like, maybe close to being considered an adult. Like, the smallest nerrgegante that was an adult, as they told me, was about the size... what was that thing? She's like, it was about the size of a... from this end to this end. As she says, like, 20, maybe 30 feet long? Nah, wait. Around 20 feet long is what she would say. The biggest... yeah, it seems a decent amount. She points over, she's like, no, it's not good estimate. See that tree over there? About the size of that. Or as long as that. And as the tree is kind of small for a tree in the middle of the jungle. As she's like, yeah, that thing jumped on him. I went to go help him, but before I knew it, he had changed more into his monster form. As she's like, he's a monster? He's like, yeah, I don't know what kind yet. Haven't seen many of whatever he is. He can... though he seems to have pretty strong claws and such, as she says he can sprout one claw. As she would put it, is that he doesn't grow the entire gauntlet, I'll say. Or wrist bracers is the best way to put them. He grows like one. And he makes it like really long. It's like grows two or three blade, well, one blade from each arm. As then he jumps down on them and stabs them. But she goes back to saying, and as he used his leg muscles to kick it over, he rushed over and then started stabbing it as it was on its back. She describes how Deku rushed over and sort of, as she would put, channeled some kind of rage or something, and literally gored it. He just like stuck it right into its stomach and its rib cage. She talked about how he stabbed into it a couple of times. After he had his like little rage fest done and over with, she approached him and she said he sort of transformed down a little bit. As Deku, as she would put it, say, he apologized for what I saw. And let me tell you, after he was done with that little nerrgegante, it was a bloodbath, I would say the least. It's like, did you sell it? He's like, oh, hell yes, of course I sold it. I would be an idiot if I didn't. But the problem is that he destroyed the internal organs up so much, that was more like like mush and chunks. Throat's kind of dry. She goes on to go into even more details. The guy's like, okay, stop. I may have a good stomach for gore, but you don't have to go into such details. I believe it's visceral? I believe is the word I'm looking for. Visceral details? I used the wrong word. Let's see that now. This isn't the right word. Visceral is for something else. It's, thorough, is what such thorough details. And she's like, alright, fine. Because your stomach isn't as strong as I thought it was. He's like, yeah, let's go with that. Or maybe yours is just abnormally less. Maybe yours is just abnormally strong, let alone the kids. She's like, yeah, I've seen quite a lot with them. I think at one point we were trying to steal a Rathian egg. It's like, what? She's like, yeah, that didn't go so well. The Rathalos found us as we were sneaking away with the egg. And, yeah. Not very good ends. As it's been like 4 or 5 months, and Yeah, 4 or 5 months, I believe, should be relatively good enough time. And Deku has made a nice little reputation for himself within the community, as everybody pretty much knows him, and everyone's either good with him or doesn't really care. Like, the canteen owner knows Deku, and Deku and him are, like, somewhat good friends, as canteen owner tells Deku some of his stories, as Deku actually listens very closely to them, trying to learn lessons, you could call them. Stop whining. I'll be done soon enough. Yeah, he whines at me anytime I'm not paying attention to him. I know you're a baby. You're a baby. Stop it. Stop trying to bite me. As Deku and goes the next day, as he gets up after, like, he has his own little place after, like, trading some items. He's able to afford, like, a nice little corner for himself, as he does have a change of clothes. That's one of the other things that Liz got him. Liz got him is so that way he would not have to wear the same dirty clothes he was wearing beforehand. As when he comes out this morning, he sees a couple of guys, and he's like, oh shit, as he jumps back to his little corner and hides away, saying that as the guys that are looking around are the same guys that work for Jack, as it's like, hey, we're looking for some bit of cargo. He's like, what is it? It's a monster that kind of got out. It's like, oh, you're some of those people. As the people around here don't like him. Like, they may not be good guys themselves, but they have a standard. You don't sell people into slavery is one of them. As it's like, hey, we're willing to offer a reward. As it's like, we're getting a lot of money for this kid. If you know where he is, sell him out, we'll cut you in at a 10%. That's what the boss man said. It's like, yeah, nobody deals with slavery here, punks. It's like, now why don't you get the hell out of here before we decide to feed you? Before we decide to feed you to the champion. As the champion, like I said, is an ogre. As he stands up, he's like, I've been getting a bit peckish. And all this food we have around here doesn't satiate certain hungers. As they're like, hey, you mess with us, you mess with an entire group of people who can destroy this place easily. As it's like, yeah, I would like to see him try. As the guys back out of the, like, little bar or whatever, or canteen, as Deku, like, looks over, and then as Elizabeth is, like, over there looking at the situation, then she sees Deku as he's, like, hiding down. It's like, just let you know, the thing we're looking for is something very dangerous. Like, oh, if it was so dangerous, you would have told us. It's like, alright, smartass. As it's like, you know what it is? It is a nerrgegante. As some people are like, as there's like a couple of gasps, and even the Zenogre is like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, it's one of the reasons why these guys want some experiments or something like that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Either you guys give them up, or this guy may as well come and try and eat your kidneys. It's like, they aren't cannibals. It's like, oh, you sure about that? The last one that went on a rampage, or last recorded one, ate an elder dragon easily. And it took dozens of people to stop him. So, yeah, I continue to think that. As Elizabeth sees Deku, as he, like, got lower and lower with every word that was said. As she's like, huh. So, he wouldn't happen to be... It's like, also, it's a little kid. What else? It's like as they would put it, as... They didn't really see him, but they got, like, sketches. It's like, pretty young looking dude. Maybe came around here a week ago, maybe. Don't know how long he's been on the run. We're recent additions, to be honest. It's like, so that lessens the thing. But also to remind you, boss is offering positions in his little crew. As again, nobody takes him up off the offer. So Deku decides to just keep low and keep quiet, as when everything's said and done, he's like, oh, as Elizabeth's like, you got some explaining to do, Deku. As Deku's like, oh no. as that's where I'm going to be ending it off at. Again, I should be starting What If Deku Was Lamenter again. Sorry that took a long break. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope you guys continue to enjoy this, and I hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life. Stop biting me. I'll fight you. I'll fight you.